accessibility. This is Access Tech Live with Stephen Scott and Marc Aflalo.
Back on Access Tech Live, Marc Aflalo in studio, Stephen Scott not in studio. Not jealous at all, Stephen, at all that you're in Amsterdam, even though it's only an hour flight. Thank you, of course, for being with us on show number 5 of Access Tech Live. Question of the day, if you haven't been paying attention, and the reason I'm going to bring it up is because someone here on YouTube who's watching says that Stephen is not going to go to Vegas. What does it say? Oh, I'm going to dream I'm going to let you go to Vegas. That's kind of fun. What piece of nostalgic tech can you not let go of? Tim Dixon says Stephen's probably going to say his iPod. I don't know. Is that what you're going to say, Stephen?
iPod?
Yeah.
Do you know
the original?
I'm yeah, I know. I've actually got. Funnily enough, I recently bought an iPod and a very old MacBook Air to go with it because the newer MacBook Airs didn't connect to it. So basically, I had to buy an old 8-year-old MacBook Air to go with my iPod. I know, utterly ridiculous, but you know what? I love the clicky wheel. I like the clicky wheel thing.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you would. Tell me something. You're in Amsterdam, long day. Obviously, I'm sure you're going to follow the floor collapsing and tired after this. How do you pick which companies you want to go see when it comes to an event like this? Because there are hundreds there on that show floor.
Yeah, and the interesting thing with CES is, although they often do have, especially at Las Vegas, they do have an accessibility area. So, immediately I'm drawn to that, right? I'm looking at companies that are going to be talking about accessibility from that unique perspective they hold. It's a bit different here at Amsterdam because you have a list of companies, and what I'm looking at are what you might call accessibility adjacent companies. So some companies clearly, one we're going to be speaking or hearing about today is Retinoscope, which is clearly doing work to try and prevent vision loss, which is really interesting. But also there are many products out there. Now, we talked, of course, with Brian about SmartQARE, which is becoming more and more prevalent in our world today, where more people want to remain at home. So we want to get into that discussion as well. So there's lots of companies here that we can talk to who really give us an interesting flavor when it comes to the kind of work they do, and also I think is what I call accessibility adjacent, and I'm copywriting that.
Oh, you do that. You do that. One of the companies that you had an opportunity to meet is Wisp, WHISPP. Let's learn more about the company, then we can talk about it, Stephen, here.
My name is Joris Kastemans. I'm the founder and CEO of Wisp. Wisp develops assistive voice technology that converts whispered speech and vocal cord impaired speech into a person's natural voice in real time. So you can make phone calls with our calling app, and it's meant for people with a voice disability, for example, people with throat cancer, vocal cord paralysis, but also for people who stutter. People who stutter severely, like me. I stutter slightly, but as a child I was a more severe stutterer. People who stutter severely, they speak really fluent and relaxed when they whisper. So in this way, by using Wisp, they can make relaxed phone calls. And in the future, we can use the smartphone as a live speech amplifier, which you could bring to, for example, a restaurant. Settings like this, it's really crowded, it's noisy, so you can amplify your voice in a really smart way. So we give people a voice again. So when people who stutter severely, when they whisper, they are really fluent. And this has been researched. So there are papers which state that the average stutter frequency drops with 85% when people who stutter when they whisper. So, and of course, we did research ourselves. We published a scientific paper about this ourselves too, and we learned that also on a mid-term, so not the direct effect of whispering, but also when you do it for a certain amount of time, the positive effect sticks. With our calling app, people can initiate a call, so they can choose the contact from the contact list, or they can type in a phone number with a dialer. And at that moment, of course, we are using in-stream real-time AI to convert the whispered or affected speech. So this is a real new product, a category, right? So also from a point of privacy and security. You know, of course, the voice cloning and spoofing examples. So we show a signal. An automated short sentence is projected for the listener, for the recipient, that the call is made with the Wisp technology. The current Wisp app is downloadable in Google Play and Play Store, and you can record and convert your whispered or affected voice, and it gets converted by our app.
Stephen, did you have a chance to go hands-on with that, or see a demo of how it actually worked? Because I can see this technology making its way into so many different devices.
Yeah, so we got a chance to learn from Joris how it actually worked. And I did not know this, that apparently if you stutter, whispering actually, as Joris says, makes it a little bit easier to have that conversation, hence what he's tapped into here in this app. So he actually did that. He was using the app on his Android phone, he whispered into it, and it came back, and we were able to hear back the results, and they were really interesting because it was so much louder, so much clearer. Now, you know, I've been playing around with lots of tools recently in the audio editing process that we do for radio and everything else to, you know, enhance audio. And this is something which Joris has been able to tap into. And I think it's really interesting because, of course, we've talked a lot about products like Vocal ID, and there are many others now. And of course, Personal Voice now exists on the iPhone, and there are other products coming out as well, which give us the opportunity, or give people the opportunity, to get their own voice back. Now, that's not necessarily fully what Joris is offering here. He's offering a text-to-speech offering, but he's offering it in a very different way, and, of course, helping people who stutter, which is incredible.
I can imagine that technology being used with something like Personal Voice, where it can understand what you're saying and then speak it in your personal voice that you've created. Very, very cool. Another company you landed upon was a SmartQARE, and I'm going to spell it for you because it's spelled a little bit differently. It's SmartQARE. Tell us a little bit about the company before we hear from their CEO.
So SmartQARE, it kind of follows on from our conversation with Brian. More people these days want to stay at home, want to live at home in later years. They don't want to move into residential care. Some people don't need to, but they do need to have something with them, ideally some kind of remote monitoring solution that allows that person to remain at home. And that is exactly what this product offers. Okay, let's take a listen to, I won't pronounce his name, I'll let him do it for us. Here he is, the CFO of SmartQARE.
Hello, my name is Jan-Hein Autenbrinke, and I'm the CFO of SmartQARE. SmartQARE is a medical technology company, and they developed a platform and a device to enable 24/7 monitoring of patients in the care and the cure market. SmartQARE has developed a remote monitoring device, and it is quite a small device that is placed on the upper arm, and it measures all the vital signs of a human body. And one of the important benefits is that it works out of the box. So you just put it on the arm, they know it's working, and all the relevant information is passed through a, what is it called? It's a 5G, I don't know what it is called in Canada, but it's similar to a cell phone. And all the data is transferred to a platform, and people from a care company, they can monitor your performance just like an Apple Watch, but for an Apple Watch there's no one watching your data. Well, I am, or our company enables 24/7 monitoring. So if a patient is not feeling well at home, they can press a button and someone can give a phone call or come over to help the person that is in a certain need. And the interesting thing for people that try to stay home as much as possible and don't want to go to a hospital or a care institution is that all the vital signs can be sent to the care company. And while that is done, it gives a certain comfort to people. And that is a nice thing. And when people are really feeling ill, a doctor can look at the data and say, okay, I will come over to you, or other way around, you need to see a doctor. because the vital signs are deteriorating, for example. At the moment, SmartQARE's product, it's called Victor, is available in the EU market. It is certified, it's MDR certified. And at the moment we are looking into ways to expand the medical certification in the US and, for example, Canada. But it's time consuming. We need to take a couple of hurdles to make that happen. But towards year end, we hope to submit the application. And then in the course of next year, probably the first quarter, we hope to be certified in Canada and North America. And hopefully we can enter the market there. Because there are a lot of people actually using remote monitoring concepts. So it's a big market for us, very interesting. And people are really used to working with the product already there.
Yeah, remote monitoring is so important, especially for people who want to keep that sense of independence. It is Access Tech Live, Access Tech Live. I'll get it out of my mouth eventually. Stephen is live at CES Unveiled in Amsterdam. When we come back, a couple more companies that Stephen had a chance to meet while in Amsterdam. Stick around.
We want to hear from you. Follow us on social media and get involved at Access Tech Live. We'll be right back. Latest in tech and accessibility. This is Access Tech Live with Stephen Scott and Marc Aflalo.
We're back. I am Marc Aflalo in Montreal. Stephen Scott live at CES Unveiled in Amsterdam. Stephen, it's almost, well, it's past dinner time for you. It's only bordering on lunchtime here. You're about ready to collapse, I guess, right?
Do you know, I actually feel good, and I've had a great day today. I really am glad I came over to Amsterdam for this, because CES is such a great event. And whether or not I get to Las Vegas or not, I don't know. But, you know, an hour's flight is quite a nice thing. And getting here to this particular event has been great. I have to say as well, you know, this is a small event in a lot of ways compared to obviously the huge event, the monster that is Las Vegas and CES. And in some ways, it's much more manageable, certainly to get around. I also have to give huge props to my wonderful assistant Valerie, who's off to my left. So she's not going to come into shock because she will not come and say hello. But she's been absolutely wonderful. I want to also thank Joyce as well, who's been wonderful helping set us all up here. Everyone has been wonderful and kind and helping me get around. But, you know, it has been such a great event and a great chance to speak to some great companies.
Well, you sound like you're wrapping up, but we've got more time here. Okay, so don't go anywhere. One of the companies you mentioned,
I'm leaving it to you.
Yeah, exactly. One of the companies you mentioned to me earlier this morning that you thought was pretty cool was Retinoscope. Tell me a little bit about that.
So we've talked a lot about, you know, staying in your own home, preventing any kind of health issues, anything like that. We talked about that, of course, with Brian earlier. If we could prevent vision loss, that would be incredible. Now, we have many, many tools available to us already in the healthcare world that can prevent vision loss. There are lots of tools, but you have to be able to get to the ophthalmologist. You have to be able to find an optometrist, get an appointment, all of these things. And of course, you have to live in an area where that's available. But what if you could go to your local GP practice or go to your local healthcare provider, maybe even a pharmacy, and get your eyes tested, and at the same time, not just check for vision loss, but other potential illnesses as well? That is exactly where Retinoscope comes in.
Well, let's hear more about them right now.
Yes, hi, I'm Jan Boers from Retinoscope. We aim to change the way people are screened for vision loss because hundreds of millions of people are at risk for vision loss, and screening is not up to speed. So we want to bring solutions that will change that and allow people to be screened whenever they want, at whatever situation they are in. Yes, we started Retinoscope because we understood that volume screening is not happening. There are AI tools, and the companies that make AI tools, they asked us, can you make a camera that's much cheaper and much easier to allow us to do volume screening? At the same time, my father was suffering from AMD, so it was my motivation to really start this, both the market and why should I do this. So we started Retinoscope in 2018 and been working on products ever since. Yeah, with the proper image of a retina, you can find early stages of diabetic retinopathy, AMD, and glaucoma. Probably even before people have an idea that they have an eye problem. They may have other eye problems, but mostly the indication is a diabetes patient, because diabetes patients will very likely get DR during the course of their illness. We even found that this kind of screening can actually find diabetes patients that already have early onset diabetic retinopathy, but did not even know that they were diabetes. So that's something that can be very helpful if you do a large-scale screening, because half of the diabetes patients are not yet identified as the diabetes patients. So finding them will allow them to be treated earlier, which both for their diabetes but also for eye condition will have a lot of benefits. And as you know, the health system really needs to change the way we are working. We have to find patients early so that their quality of life will be better. But also the societal costs are very high. Just for vision loss, the societal cost, so non-care related, is estimated to be 60 billion a year. So that kind of cost, societal cost, can also be reduced by earlier screening. First of all, availability. We have a device that's available from a few weeks from now. Just finishing up the certification, which is always a big hassle, but we are almost done, and then it will be available. And we are talking to quite a few organizations to do pilots, because we need to understand how to actually implement this in primary care, how to make it ubiquitous for everybody that wants, for any diabetes patient, to really get the screening instead of just talking about it.
Yeah, actions definitely do speak louder than words. Even another company that you had an opportunity to meet is Nowatch or Nowatch, depending how they pronounce it. Let's take a listen.
Hi, my name is Michiel, and I work at Nowatch. It's a smartwatch that doesn't have a screen, but it's basically smart jewelry. So we built a stylish health tracker that focuses on stress mainly. So we're the best stress tracker in the world. And it also tracks sleep and movement. So in this fast-paced society, people are losing the connection with themselves. And we feel that one of the reasons for that is all this technology that is constantly like bombarding us with stimuli, basically. And we are connected with the outside world, so to say. So with calls and messages, and we're just all the time online, basically. But that's also why we lose the connection with who we are and how we feel. And we believe that this is a major reason for people getting burnout and getting sick because of all the stressors that they experience during the day. And so we built a device that is nice to wear, because you can wear this every day. You can actually take out the front of the watch and the wristband as well. And the technology is just inside of here. So it's really customizable per day. And it doesn't have the screen that distracts you, but it connects to an app, and that's where you can read your data. So Nowatch consists of 3 different parts. It has a case that comes in a gold, rose gold, and a silver coating. And it is a round watch. And basically you can add to that with 18 different straps. So these are leather straps, recycled ocean, plastic straps, and these come in 18 different colors. And then on top of that, the watch basically itself is empty. So it is kind of a round watch, so to say, but the watch face is not in there. And in that watch face, you can add 10 different discs. So, and those discs are ranging from amethyst minerals to white agate, all kinds of other minerals basically, and that make it really look like a piece of jewelry. And on top of that, there's 3 metal discs, and those are really clean, a clean surface basically from metal, also in these 3 different colors, gold, rose gold, and silver. And then at CES 2024, we're releasing 3 Chronos discs, and you can also add them to the watch basically, and those will tell the time. So that will be a traditional watch face, so to say. And you can take all of those components apart, in and out, but the casing itself, that's where all the technology is inside. So that's what measures your stress, your sleep, and your movement. So Nowatch is shipping since the beginning of this year to North America and Europe. So we get orders from Canada all the time as well. And you can choose on our website, you can choose what configuration you want. And basically you can choose all the products. So then you will have 18 different, or no, even 150 different ways of configuring your watch. Or you can just choose one color, one strap, one disc, and that's all available on our website, and we ship within 3 days. The price, we're changing the price a bit, but so far it's starting from 399 euros, and depending on how many discs and straps you add, it can become more expensive. But so on average, our customers spend around 450 euros per order.
We're going to have to get our hands on that, Stephen, and give it a cool checkout and maybe a review down the road at CES in 2024. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, your answers to our question of the day. What piece of nostalgic tech can you not let go of? And we wrap up from CES in Amsterdam. Stick around. It is Access Tech Live.
We want to hear from you. Follow us on social media and get involved at Access Tech Live. We'll be right back.